The Smashing Pumpkins from the soundtrack of the 1992 Cameron Crowe movie Singles. That movie was shot just as grunge was becoming a big deal on a local level. And when it finally came out, the scene was in full effect. If you've never seen it, watch for cameos from 3/4 of Pearl Jam, including Eddie, who has a speaking part, Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains. And before that, Flesh for Lulu from 1987. It appeared on an album of theirs called Long Live the New Flesh. But the real score came with the band found a place on the Some Kind of Wonderful soundtrack, a John Hughes film, in 1987. Now, these projects continue to be very big business, but not in the same way as before. People don't run out and buy soundtracks like they did with Purple Rain or The Bodyguard or Titanic anymore. Instead, soundtracks are used to promote new artists or to introduce the next stage of an artist's career. Placement on a soundtrack can still be very good business, even if you never end up on the actual CD or in the download. Just ask Blur about Song 2. They've made millions and millions from that song from producers who use the song just in motion picture trailers. There's lots to talk about when it comes to movie music, so we'll have to revisit this another time. Coming next, though, an examination of some very bad career moves.
More of The Secret History of Rock coming up. Back to The Secret History of Rock with Alan Cross.
The history of rock is littered with some very bad career moves, like the drummer who quit the band that would become Nirvana because he was offered a manager's position at Burger King, like the guy who quit U2 because he was tired of the grind, like the guy at Decca Records who rejected a new band called the Beatles because guitar bands were on the way out. You get the idea. Here are a few more bad career moves, starting with Elvis Costello. When he started releasing records, he was immediately pegged as British punk's angry young singer-songwriter. And yeah, he really could get angry. On March 10th, 1979, Elvis and his band, The Attractions, were staying at a Holiday Inn in Columbus, Ohio. They were on tour, and they were down in the bar having a drink, or maybe 10. Also in the lounge that night was Stephen Stills, as in Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Somehow, Elvis's entourage got into a discussion with Stephen's people over music. Now we've got this angry British guy arguing music with an ex-hippie from the 1960s. And everyone has had a few drinks or more. Can you see problems happening? Elvis started getting really, stupid. And he made some blatant racist remarks when Stephen Stills tried to bring up the musical contributions of Ray Charles and James Brown. Elvis's remarks were so out of line that a woman with Stephen named Bonnie Bramlett actually punched out Elvis. And it didn't take long for a full-scale fight to break out. Of course, when you have two famous musicians, brawling in a bar over racial slurs, you just know it's going to make the news. And it did. Naturally, the American media sided with Stephen Stills, and the bad publicity for Elvis was absolutely incredible. In fact, the incident almost ruined Elvis's career in the U.S. He was toxic. No one in America wanted anything to do with him after this. And it would be years and years before things cooled down enough for Elvis's records to start selling in America again. So who knows how big Elvis might have been had he just kept his mouth shut that night.